Call the Owatonna City Council meeting to order for August 20th, 2013, and with that, we'll ask for roll call.
Councilmember Schultz.
Here.
Burbank.
Here.
Rainey.
Here.
Svenby.
Here.
Turleson.
Here.
Dotson.
Here.
Abraham.
Here.
Mayor Kuntz. We have all the council present, but the mayor is absent.
Thank you. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to welcome everyone here tonight for the meeting, and we do have one addition to the agenda, and it's 2.5.5, a midnight run for the OHS girls and cross-country team. With that, we'll ask for a motion to approve or disapprove.
As noted.
As noted, we have one by Svenby. Do we have a second to that?
Second one.
Second by Ray Trulson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been a change for that addition. With that, we'll move on to the 1.4, the proclamation. September is Senior Month, and September 19th is Owatonna Senior Center Day. With that, we'll go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. The mayor is out of town tonight, and he asked me to read the proclamation for him. Whereas the year 2013 marks the 25th anniversary for Senior Place of Owatonna, and whereas Owatonna is the home of 3,058 citizens aged 65 years plus and 6,500 baby boomers, and whereas September is recognized as National Senior Center Month, with the 2013 theme being Senior Centers Experts at Living Well. And whereas the Owatonna Senior Place strives to be experts at living well by offering many valuable programs, activities, and services to those in Owatonna, Steele County, and surrounding communities. And whereas Senior Place has the resources and tools to empower older adults to make choices that enhance their lives. And whereas Senior Place offers a variety of health and fitness classes and lifelong learning opportunities and encourages involvement in the center of the community. And whereas Senior Place promotes a positive image of aging and shows the center's importance in the community. Now, therefore, I, Thomas Kuntz, Mayor of the City of Owatonna, do hereby proclaim September to be Owatonna Senior Center Month and designate September 19th, 2013 as Owatonna Senior Center Day, in commemoration of the 25th anniversary of Senior Place. And Ann Plisconico and other members of the board are here to talk about what activities you have planned. So maybe we want to hear from Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you for having the proclamation in honoring Senior Center Month and Senior Place's 25th anniversary. It is a pleasure to be here tonight. Senior Place started 25 years ago. The Articles of Incorporation were signed on January 26, 1988 by Stanley Johnson, Howard Place, Rufus Sanders, Mary Maggio, Genevieve Fallenstad. These and many others worked very hard to make Senior Place happen, and for that we are indebted to them. The National Council on Aging honors senior centers in the month of September. The 25th Anniversary Committee chose to celebrate this at that time. So on Thursday, September 19th, our celebration begins. We have a social hour planned, a dinner, and a program to follow. This event is free to all Senior Place members, as Senior Place Inc. is sponsoring the dinner. The deadline to sign up is on Friday, September 6th, with a Senior Place Cupcake Day from 12:30 to 3:30, and also to make sure you sign up. Senior Place provides recreational and leisure pursuits for those of age 50 years and better, and there are a number of services that are available at the center, from informational referral, day-by-day adult daycare, Healthy Seniors of Steele County Field Office, Betsy Wright Massage Therapy, Just the Nurse Semcac Senior Dining, and Health Insurance Counseling, just to name a few. Again, thanks for letting us showcase Senior Place and share the valuable programs, activities, and services that we have to offer, and to recognize our center in the month of September. I'd like to pass on one of my favorite quotes: "Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments we take away."
Thank you.
The moments that take our breath away. So, Thank you very much.
I would like to congratulate Senior Place on their anniversary and welcome all the members that are here in attendance. And thank you for your service for this great facility. So, any questions or you would like to ask or comments? Well, again, thank you. And seeing none, we will move on with our agenda, and we'll move on to the financial statement.
We have 1.5.
I'm sorry. I will apologize because I had some eye surgery and still don't have my eyes working the way I like them to work. So I will move on to the public hearing, Minnesota Investment Fund Small Cities Development Program. And with that, we'll move on to Troy. Thank you.
As per our development agreement with Viracon, we did agree to assist them in pursuing any grant opportunities with the project with DEED. The Minnesota Investment Fund Small Cities Development Program grant was one of those. It is a grant that's applied for by the city, and in order to submit that, we need to hold a public hearing. We do have Ed Cheetah here, our consultant from Advanced Resources here, that will give you a little summary of what that might be, and if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is one more of the actions with the Viracon project. When the state submitted their proposal to Viracon, they outlined a number of incentives, et cetera. We did tax increment financing. There was an infrastructure grant. You guys put together a very good proposal overall. In part of that, they also said that they would provide Minnesota Investment Fund grant to the project if and when funds became available. At the time they did that, the legislature hadn't finished meeting, and once the session was over, the state had allocated to DEED additional funds, an additional $30 million to their investment fund grant program. And so this is a $400,000 grant. We're just following through, I guess, on the paperwork involved with that. This is, as Troy said, is a grant to the city, which in turns becomes a forgivable loan to the company. So it is actually given out as a loan, but the term forgivable means if they meet the conditions in the development agreement that they sign, the loan will be forgiven. It is an amount is for $400,000, and they will use it for expenditures on equipment. And in exchange for that, this is all part of the overall package. The construction's already started, et cetera. It's all tied into that. So I know we've talked about this a great deal in the past. But this is a public hearing for any input on this grant, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have regarding it.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Well, first of all, I do need to open the public hearing at 7:10 p.m. and ask if there's any questions from the audience or comments. Seeing none, we'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Move.
Motion by Raymond to close the public hearing. Do you have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now it's council's chance.
What about the payment that you're doing? Where does that come out of, the payment for you putting that together? Where does that come?
Viracon, we have in our agreement with Viracon, and Troy could address this, they indemnify all of the costs for these various applications and various other fees that the city has had along the way as well. So there is an indemnification of that. So they are picking up all the costs.
Okay. I guess the question that I've got here is I see where we have a public hearing, but do we have something that needs to have action taken?
There is a resolution, yes, that was sent.
Okay, so there will be a resolution that you will have to adopt. I don't know that we have that in the packet, do we?
I didn't see it in the packet.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I know I sent it. I apologize, Troy. I sent it over. There is a resolution. I have one in the information here.
Viracon stuff is all the stuff towards the,
Well, those are in the action items?
This one would not be in the action items that we have listed on there.
Obviously,
I don't
we
think
did
we
not
have it.
get the resolution in there. There is,
Okay. I
everyone
will,
has to sign
Yeah.
a completed form for the city, but there is a local government resolution which you sign that authorizes submission of the application. It also has certain language in it that says that the city has the managerial administrative expertise to carry out its responsibilities for this application. Now, this grant application is identical to the grant application that we submitted for the CHART project a couple years ago. It's under the same identical program. And so
okay.
I apologize that the resolution isn't in there. That's between Troy and I. Apparently, we didn't. I either didn't get it to him or we didn't get it into the packet.
Would you have a resolution number that we could use to adopt it by?
Jeanette, do you know what the next number
no,
is?
we would take the resolution and just put it to our format, but the resolution that he has, that Ed would have provided, we would have made to be the next resolution that we have. And I know Friday when we were putting together the packet, Troy said that he just thought it was that the public hearing, that he hadn't received anything as of that point. And so we didn't, or, whether we had it or didn't, but I know that we didn't have it. So we can certainly put that through there.
Okay, I'm looking at this, so what we would need is a resolution number to move approval on.
When you have a public hearing, wouldn't this resolution wait
next-
to the next meeting? Because you're really just doing the public hearing,
No,
didn't
we can do it at the same time.
The next resolution would be 78-13, because we're doing 7713 tonight also. So 7813 would be the next resolution number, I believe.
Okay, so resolution number
7813.
13 would be the number that we would use for that. And with that, I would ask for council.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 7813.
Okay, thank you, Greg. And we have a motion. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion? With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we will get it written up.
Yeah, there's one kicking around. I'm not sure where. We will take care of it.
Cyberspace.
There you go. Thank you. Okay. With that, we'll move on to the financial report, and I'll do a quick recap. We have $32,854 for auto fuel, fuel at the airport for use for resale, $25,000 for Bargain Incorporated crack repairs, $34,671 for Central Valley Co-op fuel purchases, $42,830 for South Central Drug Enforcement Investment Unit, $121,358 for Southeast Service Cooperation August health insurance premiums, $31,927 for Wenzel Construction for Part E, estimated number 5, Park Drive sanitary sewer, $249,328 for other expenditures, for a total of $537,986. What is the council's wishes?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
We have a motion by Kevin Rainey to pay the bills. Do we have a second to that? Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That has completed that. Now we have the consent agenda items, which are minutes of meetings, requests for activities, the addition of the midnight run to that. What is the council's wishes?
So move we approve.
We have a motion to approve by Raymond. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion on any of the items? With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Now we'll move on to the action items. that, we'll move. First item on the agenda is conditional use C-1354, amend the PUD for Eden Valley development. And with that, we'll go to Troy.
Tom Reef, on behalf of Eldorado Land Needs, has requested an amendment to the site plan for the plan unit development for Eden Valley 4th Edition. They're changing what was approved was for single-family lots along the north side of the pond and just south of the fourplex on Eldorado Drive. And this is kind of across where Northland has moved to now, the old egg building. It was all single-family approved from that for the interior lot and then on the north side of the pond and just south of the fourplex. What the proposal is here is to amend the site plan for the lots on the north side of the pond from single-family structures to duplexes, and they would be built as split-level single-family houses, but they would be rental. They'd be sectioned off into 2 units so that they would be rental units. So from the exterior, they would look like single-family lots. And then there would also be the fourplex would be a townhouse sort of design, split level again, and they would be facing Truman Avenue. So the driveways and all the garages would face Truman Avenue to the west, just south of that fourplex. Those are the only changes they're making on to the site plan on the PUD. The rest of the lots on the interior of that development would stay single family. The buildings would be constructed to meet all the existing covenants on the property, and they did contact the Townhome Association out there as well to get their input on the request before they came to the Planning Commission. We did have a public hearing at the Planning Commission. We did have one neighbor on 22nd Avenue or 22nd Street, one of the townhomes there that had some concerns about stormwater and mainly the berm that runs behind them. It's separated a little bit from this development, and I've asked Kyle to take a look at that portion of it, but there still is a little concern about stormwater in that area. So staff is recommending approval of the proposed changes to the site plan for the PUD for Eden Valley 4th Edition as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Troy. Any questions from the council? Raymond?
Troy, I see they're going to build single garages.
Correct.
Is that pretty standard? I mean, where they got 2 vehicles? What if they have 2 vehicles? Are they going to park it in the driveway then? Or?
For rental units, we require 2 parking spaces per unit. 1 space would be in the garage, 1 would be out in the driveway out front. So they do meet the requirement of 2 off-street parking spaces per unit. And I think, again, they wanted to look like a single-family house. It'll look like a split-level house with a 2-stall garage.
So that's all is required?
That's all that's required.
Really?
And they are allowed to park on the street. Not that they're basically a third vehicle. If they were to have a third vehicle, that would be parked on the street.
I was a little surprised they're single garages, I guess.
Would these ever be available for sale?
At this point, they're just proposing them as rental units. They are set up and constructed in such a way that they could be converted into a single-family house and sold separately. Each of the units, the duplexes, will be on a single lot. So if they ever are converted into a single-family house, they could be sold individually. They did want to keep that option open. But as of right now, they're setting it up for rental units just because the market right now, there's more of a demand for market rate rentals.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? What is the council's wishes?
Make a motion, we approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second to that? Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you, Troy. Now we'll move on to variance number V1385, request from Russell and Beth Thornburg to allow a larger accessory building. So that, go back to you, Troy.
This is a request by Russell and Beth Thornburg at 1072 South Cedar Avenue, the northwest corner of South Cedar and McKinley. They're proposing a 12 by 20 lean-to on the existing detached accessory structure. What they have on site is an old carriage house, and it's the footprint is 624 feet, but it has 2 levels to it. And under our existing ordinance, if you have a second level on accessory structure and the headroom is over 6 feet tall, that does count against your maximum square footage for detached structures. So that extra 624 feet on the second level does count against the maximum 1,000 square feet that is permitted on site. Since it is a second level, there's a small staircase to get up there, not enough to really get anything large up there, and it's really not very usable for the property owner. So they are requesting a 12 by 20 lean-to on the back of that carriage house. We did have a public hearing at Planning Commission. We did not have any objections to the request. There was some discussion on having shingles match the existing structure and also matching the pitch. And so the Planning Commission did recommend approval and added the condition that the connection point be raised for the roof there to accommodate a 412 pitch in order to get shingles that would match the existing structure. So staff would recommend approval of the variance request as recommended by the Planning Commission.
And the property owner had no problem with doing that?
Correct. He said that was an option. His preference was to keep it a flatter roof just for ease of accessing it and maintaining it, but the Planning Commission really wanted to keep the look the same on that structure, and so a steeper pitch to accommodate shingles that would match the existing structure is what they went with.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the council? Will entertain a motion?
So to approve with the condition of the...
Motion to approve by Greg Schultz,
Second.
second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we move on to 3.3.3, first reading of ordinance 15-13 to rezone property owned by Viracon. That will move on back to Troy.
Okay, the next 3 requests are relative to the Viracon project and some of the processes that were agreed upon at the development agreement that were to be completed here by the end of the year. One of which is a rezoning, which you have here now. The whole campus, Viracon campus, is actually 4 lots spread over. It was split by 4th Avenue, and we vacated 4th Avenue as part of this process. But the zoning district was also split at 4th Avenue. And so as part of the agreement here and meeting a lot of the building code requirements for this addition, everything had to be replatted into one lot, and therefore the zoning had to all conform to a single zoning district for that whole lot. In this case, it was split between an IP industrial park district and an I-1 light industrial district. And the request here is to rezone it all to a IP industrial park district. And then there'll be also 2 additional requests here following this relative to that as well. So staff would recommend approval of the zoning request from I-1 light industrial to IP industrial park district.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Raymond.
Just a note, I was part of the original industrial park, which is Wingers and Pearson, and around that corner, the covenants on that park, at that time Viracon built across the street, was not part of the original industrial park, and there was a covenants written on that park, just they called it the industrial park. And so when they're moving into that new area, there is a covenants on that park. So they're aware of that. That covenants is different than what they were at before. So.
Well, there are zoning requirements, and then there are covenants that are recorded against the property. So the part that's being requested for rezoning right now would have to abide by the zoning requirements. They were not, this portion of it south of Fourth Avenue was not part of that original, and therefore technically would not have that as a covenants on that portion of it. But I don't believe they plan on having any outdoor storage on anything north of that Fourth Avenue line.
Because that's one of the big issues when the covenants was written way back when, of
Right.
industrial park, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Make a motion we approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion? Thank you. With this being an ordinance, ask for roll call.
Councilmember Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Trilson.
Aye.
Dotson.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All 7 ayes.
This has been approved. Now we move on to 3.3.4, first reading of ordinance 1413, and this basically is for the same issues. So I think you have to repeat yourself.
Other than, I just want to mention that in order to replat everything, we had to establish new easements where new utility lines are going, and in working with the recorder's office and the county surveyor, we all felt the best way to do that was to just vacate all the existing utility easements on the site, and then they will all be reestablished with the new plat. So that's what this request is, to vacate all the public dedicated easements on the Viracon property. And that won't actually be filed until at the time where the plat is recorded. So they will be recorded at the same time. We don't want to lose any of that, any of those easements at any point in time. We just want to reestablish them.
Okay. And this ordinance, first reading is to vacate.
Correct.
Okay, and we will be working on one to reestablish.
The easements will be reestablished in the new plat. They will be within the plat.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the council?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Greg to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? Again, being an ordinance, ask for roll call.
Councilmember Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Trilson.
Aye.
Dotson.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All 7 ayes.
This has been approved. We will be awaiting the second reading of this. Now we'll move on to 3.5, which is preliminary plat of Viracon addition. And again, this is what we were looking at to revise. So, any questions from the council?
So move we approve.
A motion by Raymond to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? This has been approved also. Now we move on to 3.3.6, first reading of ordinance to rezone property owned by Community Resolution Bank, and we will go to Troy again.
Okay, this is a request by Doug Belmore on behalf of Community Resource Bank. This is to rezone property that's currently zoned R3 single and two-family residential to a PUD, Plan Unit Development District. And this is for approximately 4.5 acres of land on the east side of the Pillsbury campus. They are requesting the PUD to allow for a 14,300 square foot professional office building and an additional 10,000 square foot professional office building on the proposed lots 2 and 3, keeping the existing gymnasium building on proposed lot 4. Access to the development would come off of Academy Street. There would be a joint access drive to serve all the users, and the parking lot is planned to be shared with the users within the PUD. Lot 2, which is proposed to have a professional office building. Fernbrook is looking to construct a new professional office building by October 1st. Lot 3, which has the 10,000 square foot professional office building, would be marketed and hopefully constructed within the next year. And then the gymnasium again would remain there. The applicant is in the process of securing an educational facility for the remainder of the campus, and there's been a lot of discussion on that, including an article in the paper. MSU and Riverland are working on getting that campus filled. We included a lot of information on the staff report here relative to the design of the buildings, lighting, landscaping, and signage, all of which is all designed to keep the feel of the campus for these commercial buildings. This falls in an area that lies between a educational facility, college campus, and a residential area. So it's very important if we're going to have commercial there, to present it in such a way that is compatible for both the educational facility as well as the residential on the other side. And that's why the PUD zoning district was requested, because a flat B2 district would allow for many different types of commercial uses in there, many of which would not be compatible with a college campus or a residential district. So the PUD zone actually allows you to really permit things very specifically that would be compatible in that area. And so the PUD zone is really the right choice in this case because it is such a sensitive area. And all their designs and lighting and landscaping and signage are all designed to keep a kind of a lower profile, more residential, somewhat in nature, and keep the look and feel of the college campus, including having the access point off of Academy Street. The Owatonna Development Plan does identify this as an institutional area on our development plan. Our development plan is used as a guide to direct how future development would happen within the city. And it should be noted that when this plan was developed in 2006, Pillsbury was on the campus and operating. So there was really no force or no thought that that would not be there at some point in time. So in the staff review, there is a list of about 18 conditions on there, again tying them to specifics that would keep this compatible with the residential area around them. They did request that the last condition there, a joint trash enclosure to be constructed on Lot 2 to service Lots 2, 3, and 4. They are requesting that that be waived. Usually when you do a plan unit development, it's all under one developer, and you can combine everything, and a lot of times it's done at the same time. In this case, they'll be done at different times by different owners, and staff does not have a problem with removing that condition within the staff report there. We did have a public hearing at Planning Commission, and we did have a number of neighbors that were there. Access points, signage, questions about Fernbrook's business, property values, noise from construction and traffic were all discussed. So we had a lengthy public hearing and very good discussion. And I think the developers understand the sensitive nature in which they're dealing with and are being very accommodating to the neighbors. There was one condition that was added after that public hearing, and that was that all signage would be monument signs within the development, and that again is to keep it more consistent with the campus feel. The campus has just monument signs, very limited signage there. So staff would recommend approval of this rezoning as required with the conditions placed there by the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. And with a motion, if the motion to approve, all these items would be required without having to identify each one?
With the conditions as stated by the Planning Commission, noting the removal of condition 18 and then adding the condition of all signage be monument signs.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? Raymond?
Is the developer here tonight, or you got a minute? I just got a couple questions for you. I see in the information I read on the packet, you were talking about some people go to people's homes and work, and some come there. Do you have an estimated traffic count?
Sir, respectfully, can I ask John Humoller to come up?
Okay.
John is the actual
Okay.
person developing that lot, so
Okay.
I misunderstood. So John
Sure.
can answer those questions far better than I.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm sorry, I did not hear the question
Well, the
entirely.
question was, in your literature on the stuff, information I read that talks about some of the people go out to people's homes and work, and some come there. Do you have an average fill of traffic count daily at all?
I think at the public hearing, we talked about, there would be roughly 30 sessions a day that probably happened in the office, where the vast majority, though, would be in the home or in the community as opposed to in the office.
Are you, any long-range plans for the gymnasium at all? Or?
None on our end.
Okay.
Answer that, sir, and I will.
Okay. What's that?
I will answer that, sir, and I will.
Okay.
I can and will.
Okay.
You're with Fernbrook, correct?
Correct. I'm a co-owner. That's accurate. My name's John Humoller. I'm sorry. It's very rude of me.
You might want to sign in there, too.
I certainly can. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Anything.
Do we have any other questions for John?
It was kind of interesting. About 4 days ago, I saw somebody in the street, and he said, "Have you heard anything in Pillsbury?" And no, all once we got it. Like, no, I haven't heard anything. Now we do have it. So,
Now there's something. Absolutely.
Do we have any other questions for John? Okay, then I
right,
guess Doug,
thank you.
Thank you.
Douglas Belmore, 816 Greenhaven Lane, Owatonna. I represent Community Resource Bank. I'm with Turning Point Management. Sir, you had asked about the future of the gym, and that's a very good question. Whether it's the campus itself or that building, the investors are very cautious to not do anything, and more importantly, for the council's assurance that at the bare minimum, if something needs to be done, we have the protection of the PUD, which I think wisely Troy and the community support, and Stewie, by the way. And in addition to that site has to have environmental review for about 6 months. Now, there's no bait and switch here. I think the vast majority of the buildings are slated to stay. One of the reasons that it's taken so long to pull this deal together is if anybody's been up in Pillsbury, there's pretty significant restoration costs. And we have to have the right investor that's willing to do that. We're looking to expend on Pillsbury about $6.8 million to get that campus back to life. You asked a very good question about the gymnasium. First of all, interestingly enough, the gymnasium is the one building on Pillsbury that doesn't fit that campus at all. And I was quoted in the newspaper as, "It's but ugly." We are being very careful to let the final group of investors take a look at that gymnasium, and if they choose not to, because they're not going to be doing recreational up there, and if they do, they'll use other facilities, is that if that building is to stay, it may be sold off as a separate business and a gymnasium. One of the restrictions, however, is there's a significant capital cost. That flooring in there is warped and in terrible shape right now. Now, it's a floating floor, and it's valuable and it's salvageable, but you have to put in a complete HVAC system with dehumidification. And we've got cost estimates in around the $150,000 to $200,000 to do that. Secondly, one of the considerations is to reskin the building. So we would take the outside siding off and reskin it into something that looks much more compatible with. But at this point in time, we don't know. I'm being very honest about that. I'd say it's 50-50 as to whether it'll survive as a gym, being honest. But we hope it will. One of the challenges is that the school has no use for it nor money. The city of Owatonna, we've approached Park and Rec, and their budget won't allow it. And then we have to see if between the school and OBA and some of the other associations, could they have use for it in addition to, because the building has to have an economic purpose. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions, please?
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, then,
Just
Brent.
a comment. I do like the fact that we decided to go with the PUD zoning for the property, since it does tie the development of the property as shown on the plans before us. I do like the conditions, as recommended by staff and the planning commission. I do have a slight modification to condition number 17. Currently, that condition is written as stated that the PUD shall be contingent upon recording of the final plat. As we know with ordinances, they do require 2 readings. Typically, the second reading is 2 days later. However, their plat may be a month from now. So I guess I would recommend that we change that 17th condition to read as follows. That the second reading on ordinance number 16-13 not be held until approval of the final plat. Therefore, we're not going to go ahead and do this first reading tonight of the ordinance, and 30 days from now we do the second reading. I want us to hold off on the second reading until they do the final plat for us for approval. So,
Okay.
I want to ask Doug if that's okay with it.
Right?
Yep, from a staff level, I think that's fine. I do want to note, too, that because this is considered an upzone, that the approval needs to be by two-thirds majority vote, so 5 out of 7 need a vote for it in order for it to approve, not the normal majority.
So with that change that Brent is recommending, that is not a problem?
No, sir.
Okay. Troy?
It's just good common sense.
Yep.
Thank you.
And from
Okay.
from staff.
Troy, just one quick question, please. You had sent out 2 minor changes today for the plat revision. That's independent of this process. We certainly agree with it. It was on the Owatonna Public Utility request for easements, and we've already instructed INS to make the changes as recommended by Greg. That does not need to be discussed tonight?
That there will be a public hearing, or the preliminary plat approval is on after this. Those are on there.
Okay.
Yep.
But
Okay.
we've instructed, and we're more than favorable with that.
Okay.
Okay.
One comment about the delay in getting to the council. First of all, I apologize to that. We have been working with staff for about 2.5 months.
Yeah.
I think staff wisely chose to wait until there was a real story here. We don't want to do anything that we can't deliver, and I apologize, but it's just breaking very quickly and very positively.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you. I guess. Request them.
I've got one comment. That being said, it was disappointing to learn of the project in the paper and to read timelines in the paper that we hadn't even seen anything on yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was frustrating for me to have people come up to me and ask me about it, and I hadn't seen one shed of paper in regards to this program.
Mm-hmm. And again, I apologize for that. We've been working with the mayor for 2.5 months behind the scenes. We've been working with Troy for an extended period of time. And again, part of it is that we just had to get the information packaged. And there were still some discussions and disclosures needed for TIF. And, you know, my style has always been to work through the city staff, assuming that they're informing you and that they choose that period. So for that, I apologize, sir.
Okay. Again, I'd like to comment on that. That part of it we honored. What we didn't know was getting it told to us in the paper.
Okay.
That's what we're going to do. And that's where many of the council members had an issue with it.
Okay.
So,
And I apologize, I can't control the paper.
okay. You know, we're asked not to divulge anything, and then it comes out in the paper, and we have to respond to it. It's very hard
Okay.
to do that. So,
I will work closely with Chris to make sure that communication is there.
thank you.
Okay?
With that being said,
I guess
Brent?
I'll make the motion since I'm trying to change that condition number 17, if that's okay. So I
Yes.
guess I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning subject to the conditions included in the staff report with the deletion of condition number 18, but with the addition of a new condition 18 in regards to the monument signage for the property, and then the deletion of condition number 17, with that being replaced with the following language, that the second reading on ordinance 16-13 not be held until approval of the final plat for the property.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Brent with those stipulations, and we have a second by Raymond. Any further discussion? And again, this being an ordinance, ask for roll call.
Councilmember Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Trulson.
Aye.
Dotson.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye. With this being first reading, we will hold off till we have approval of the final plat as requested. Thank you. Now, moving on to the next item is 3.37, preliminary plat of Pillsbury Edition. Again, anything further?
Just that the whole campus will be platted into 4 lots, 3 lots, 3 commercial lots, 1 containing the gym, 1 containing Fernbrook, and 1 containing the 10,000 square foot commercial building. The 4th lot then would be the rest of the campus. There are special assessments on the property of $9,420 that will need to be paid at the time of plat. And then, as Doug noted, there's a number of easements that will be needed, and it sounds like the applicant has got that all underway. So staff would recommend approval of the preliminary plat of Pillsbury Edition, Pillsbury First Edition, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Questions from the council?
Make a motion we approve.
A motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Raymond Trulson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Moving on to 3.3.8, Resolution 3072-13. Set public hearing date for the use of tax increment financing. Again, Troy?
So we have gotten a request by Doug Belmore, representing the property owner, to use tax increment financing for the redevelopment of the Pillsbury campus. The request is for establishing a redevelopment tax increment financing district over the entire campus for up to 25 years. This would be a pay-as-you-go TIF, and the property owner would be upfronting the cost for all the improvements on the property. And then we'll have more detailed information at the public hearing, including the TIF plan and more specifics about that. This is merely a resolution to set the public hearing. There are minimal publication costs for establishing the public hearing, and there are consulting fees for the TIF financing, which can be paid by the EDA's consulting budget. Administrative costs then can be figured into the TIF plan, and those consulting expenses can be reimbursed throughout the TIF. So staff would recommend adoption of the resolution authorizing the setting of the public hearing for October 1st of this year. And at that time, we'll have the public hearing and again have more information, including the TIF plan.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Raymond?
Are we allowed so much TIF a year? Are we restricted to so much TIF? Or, I mean, can we just keep on doing those? Or?
Yeah, there is not a limitation on TIF. It's really future taxes. It's nothing existing. So there is no limitation on that.
Thank you.
I move we approve.
We have a motion to approve by Raymond. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Now we move on to the resolution 3.41, 75-13, authorize advertisement for bids for sanitary sewer. With that, we'll move on to Kyle.
Good evening. This is authorization to proceed with accepting bids for the sanitary sewer lining project. The estimated cost is over $100,000, so we're seeking council approval, and staff recommends approval of going out for bids.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Raymond?
What location is that, Kyle?
There's quite a number of locations around town, so
okay.
A lot of them would be in conjunction with our overlays this year.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So move we approve.
I've got a question.
Kevin?
How far does $125,000 go, Kyle, on a project like this?
Not far enough.
Not far enough.
I have the footage. I can get that to you. I don't have it in front of me.
Up to 125 though, right, Kyle?
Well,
or about that.
Around thereabouts.
Yes, okay.
Quarter mile.
Great.
Well, I just make comment, this is part of our maintenance plan, and it's good to see it put in place and being done now.
Yep,
So-
exactly. So, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you. Now we move on to 7.42, authorize quotes for 2013 sidewalk projects. And with that, we'll go back to Kyle.
We advertised for the completion of the sidewalk on 21st Avenue Northwest between Hoffman Drive and the frontage road. We advertised twice in the Owatonna People's Press and in Quest, which is our online bidding service. However, we did not receive any bids on this project. I don't know why. We did go online and verified that the publication took place, and it obviously went in the paper. So the estimated cost is $16,500. So we would be within our ability to accept quotes. We are planning to assess for half of the costs, so we would like to receive council approval to go out for quotes on this project. And we expect to request quotes from approximately 4 contractors.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion by Raymond to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Now we move on to miscellaneous items, 3.71. Consider bids received for 2013 West Bridge Street sidewalk. Back to Kyle.
We did on August 14th receive bids for the 2013 West Bridge Street sidewalk. This was from the on-ramp to southbound 35 along Bridge Street to Park Drive, the signal there. We received 2 bids on this project. Both of the bids were considerably higher than we had estimated. Approximately 34% over the engineer's estimate. We've done some investigation, talked to a few of the people we expected to bid and didn't. It just sounds like people are busy. Therefore, we're recommending rejection of the bids and rebidding in February or March timeframe when hopefully we'll get more favorable numbers.
Thank you, Kyle. Would that have some effect or possible repercussion on the one we just approved?
Possibly. The first one is considerably smaller and has less. The second one has state aid money tied to it, and that's why they were separate in the first place. So a smaller contractor can handle the project by McDonald's much easier.
Okay.
It's a lot less paperwork.
Okay.
Probably the time of year or two, Kyle, probably?
Time of year is definitely playing a factor. There has been an uptick in construction. I think a lot of contractors don't have as many people or are no longer in business, so the ones that are left are busy. Good.
Okay.
I'll move we reject the bid.
Motion to reject by Raymond. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. This has been rejected. I don't have to ask for Nate because I heard all of them say aye. With that, we'll move on to public comment. And anyone who would like to speak, please come to the microphone and limit to your comments to 2 minutes on items that are not on the agenda tonight. Seeing none, we'll move on to council comment, and we'll start with Greg.
Yes, being that the Steele County Free Fair is now over, I have to make my annual report on watermelon seed spitting. As you know, I'm the official measure out there for 30-plus years. It was a good year for the city when the police department spit off against the sheriff's department. The city police department prevailed. And on Politician Day, we had a good turnout of people from up here. Brent was spitting, and Kyle, Kevin. And unfortunately, they talked me into doing it also. And the mayor was there, and Kevin prevailed and won that day. So the city did quite well at the watermelon seed spitting. So
Thank you. Congratulations. With that, we'll move on to the next one. David.
Nothing from Ward 3 tonight.
Kevin.
I just want to congratulate the Fair Board on an excellent fair. So many positive comments out there. It was a wonderful event, and just looking forward to next year.
Thank you. Brent.
Nothing this evening.
Raymond.
Just got a couple things, just to remind people, there's a pancake breakfast at the airport Sunday, put on by the Civil Air Patrol out there jointly with the city of Owatonna. They're bringing in a large grouping of aircraft this year, so if you get a chance, you might want to venture out there. They have a pancake feed. The other thing, if you'd write on your calendar, Monday, September 9th, we're dedicating the park equipment at J.C. Park. We had 3 donations, city, J.C.'s, and another organization donated the money for that. So we're having dedication at 5 p.m. on September 9th at J.C. Park. So if you can make it, make it.
Thank you, Raymond. Nate.
Just one quick thing. I've gotten some questions or complaints about grass clippings and debris getting into the storm sewer. So if we can minimize that when you mow your lawn, clean up your yard, if we can keep that out of the storm sewer, that's good for everybody because it contributes to the wastewater treatment plant and our phosphorus levels and all that stuff. So keeping it out of the street's a good thing.
Keep it off on the yard, not in the curb.
Right.
Thank you. Chris.
Well, I have a number of things. We have just a busy end of the summer. Just to remind everyone, we're going to have a movie in the park on Friday, August 23rd. Hotel Transylvania is the movie, and the movie starts at 8:10. There'll be some pre-movie activities at 7 o'clock. That's at Central Park. The rain date would be Saturday, August 24th. So we'd urge all of you to attend that. Also at the airport, we have Runway 5K at sunset. This is on August 24th, or I'm sorry, yes, on Saturday, August 24th. You can run on the lighted runway for, it's our first annual 5K run at sunset. So you can sign up on that day. You must be 18 years of age or older. Also at the library, we're having a movie Monday, August 26th, 6:30 to 9 p.m. Called A Place at the Table. And it's a movie it's a documentary that deals with hunger issues. So we would ask you to take advantage of that. And that's brought to us through our grant that we received through Blue Cross and Blue Shield Health Information at your library. Corky Colander, a long-term employee that we've had here at the Park and Rec Department, is retiring after 26-plus years with the city. And her retirement reception will be held on August 27th at the Art Center, starting at 10:30 a.m. Till 1. There will be a program at 11:30, so you're all encouraged to attend that if you're able. Garage sale and bake sale benefiting Alzheimer's is co-sponsored by the Owatonna Care Center, Day by Day Adult Daycare and Senior Place. That is Thursday, August 29th from 1 till 8 p.m., and that's held at the Senior Place Multi-Purpose Room, first floor. So, and then we also heard about the 25th anniversary celebration for Senior Place on Thursday, September 19th, starting at 4:30 till 7. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And yes, the fair was a complete success. People that were here to see it were from all over the country and had nothing but favorable comments about the whole week of fair. So, and the good Lord blessed us with wonderful weather.
Sure
so.
did.
With that, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Kevin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
All right.